All right, we're live.
Let's refresh and so I can see if it pops up. Not yet. It always takes about 15, 20 seconds. There it goes.
I need to set my reset up my OBS so that I can start doing the intro screen again and just set it up as like a key in OBS. Or once we go live and right before the show, get the old banner back up.
You know, if we were a professional operation, we could actually have like a countdown video prior to going live, but we don't ever just go live at the right time. So
Yeah. See, if I ever win the lottery.
dude, if you win the lottery, I will quit my job and we will do this full time, and I'll make all kinds of shit. I'll get interviews because back when I actually had time, we were getting like a couple interviews a month.
Yeah.
And I don't have time anymore. I don't have time to do a lot.
I mean, dude, I mean, we hadn't hit any cons in a while because I mean, just time and money and.
I mean, yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we did CypherCon, wasn't last year? It was 2 years ago. I think it was the last time we went to a con, right?
Yeah, it's been a little over a year and a half about when we went to CypherCon last.
Were we invited to CypherCon again this year?
I heard nothing from him. So
yeah, me neither. But normally I run into him at CoastCon, and I didn't go to CoastCon either. So
yeah. But all right, well, let's get started. Welcome to Dicejunkies. I'm Xenodamus. I'm here with
Bloodaxe, and that's it, guys.
That's it. Yeah, and Q's out today. Some personal business.
Personal things going on, but you know what? It's all going to be good because we're going to have a nice show where we both can talk and have to worry about butting in.
Probably be a little short.
Yeah, probably will be short because I don't have the rabbit holes he does.
Yeah. Not as much, not that much going on, or at least not that much going on that didn't reach too deep into political pockets that we didn't want to go down. Or
well, there's one topic that I'll have to skate the edge on, but these other ones will look interesting. I'm excited about next week with that expo. I think we'll have some good content. We may even have a longer show next Sunday because of that.
So yeah, next Sunday will definitely be probably a longer show because Gamescom 2025 starts next week. It'll be going on for most of the week, and then so we'll be covering that Sunday. Look forward to it. I've been up and down on Outer Worlds 2. Hopefully we'll see some more stuff on that so I can finally finalize my opinion on whether or not I want to go into that. There's going to be several games show up, and of course, hopefully maybe we'll see some of those games that we've sort of just have dropped off recently and we haven't heard anything about. I don't know. Maybe something about Fable. I don't know. I doubt it. I really doubt it.
Well, I usually tune in to Casually Grounded, which is the Obsidian stream they do every week. Well, they stopped doing it for a while, but they picked back up again the past couple of weeks. And it's basically just the devs playing Grounded, or in this case, Grounded 2, and they're talking about stuff. And, I picked up some tidbits, and I think, fingers crossed, I think we'll actually get some information on the next patch, which should be in the next 45, 60 days for Grounded 2, which will include their first boss, which is theorized to be Axel the Tarantula. So I'm hoping we maybe get some information on either a drop date or maybe some gameplay footage with the Tarantula. But I'm with you on Outer Worlds 2. I didn't have any problems with the first game, except one mission kind of glitched out, but that's because I apparently killed all the guys too far away from the hostage, and by the time I got to the hostage, it never triggered the quest or the picking up of the quest, so I don't think I couldn't finish, but man, I had a pretty good time with Outer Worlds for what it was. The
And I
bad
mean,
part was that there wasn't enough of a
obs-
replay value to go do all the different quests for the different factions, and that was my only complaint about it.
yeah, and I mean, Obsidian, I don't know, man. They get me because Avowed was eh. I will say, dude, I actually got on Grounded, and I was like, I see. I mean, they did good. I mean, they did good, and yeah, there's issues in early access though. Now, I will say, man, those spiders are aggro as heck, man. Like I think they got more aggro in this one.
Not as bad as the Scorpions, though. I mean, they're hardcore. The Scorpions are. But in the last game, the number of enemies, unless you went and messed around with the anthill or something, but the number of enemies were manageable. Not on this one. They don't care. You'll be fighting a wolf spider, and here comes 5 scorpions. It's a slobber knocker. It's a battle fest.
Now, I will say the one thing I noticed with the spiders though was I was able to get some materials early by breaking those little spider hatchling nests or whatever.
Mhm.
And so that actually helped to accelerate, I guess, my character's growth. Like before I could handle some of the bigger creatures, I found a couple of parts here and there by killing the spiraling nest. But then I'd get swarmed by spiraling, so I'm like running around trying not to, running back to the to the base so that I can funnel them through the door. And
Well, you almost need to get a gas mask because the stink bugs, man, they'll drop you pretty quick if you don't have a gas mask. So either you have to take them at range from afar, or hopefully your buggy can distract them to where you come up from behind them. But yeah, you're right. The little the spider sacks, usually will have like stink bugs, bombardier parts, and things like that. But I'm now to the point in Grounded 2 that I'm like, there's not much more that I need to do other than farm gold cards. So I am hoping that we get something good soon. Otherwise, my next game is probably going to be Gears Reloaded. Will be the next game I end up picking up.
But I mean, it's games like Grounded that give me a little faith in maybe Outer Worlds 2 will be good, because Avowed definitely didn't give me any faith in Obsidian, but I am hoping Outer Worlds 2 is good. Hopefully to see more stuff there. Resident Evil Requiem is supposed to show up at Gamescom if you're a Resident Evil fan.
So you're in software development, so maybe you can help enlighten me on this. How often do you bleed over devs from one game to the next when you've got Outer Worlds and you've got Grounded and you've got Pentiment and you've got Avowed? I'm assuming you probably have core separate teams with devs that bounce back and forth as resources are needed, but your core teams are still your core teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, probably the people who are working on Grounded are probably not working on Outer Worlds. I mean, it's probably a completely separate team. If you have any crossover, it's mostly probably going to be if you run across something where they get stuck or they need to speed up. They may call in, some devs from another team. But I'm assuming, I think Obsidian has multiple offices, and so they probably have, their, San Francisco, whatever team working on this, and their Netherlands team working on something, So it's
not the Russia team.
Huh?
Not the Russia team.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing, guys. Foreshadowing.
Yeah. But yeah, so a lot of there's probably not a lot of crossover between the dev teams. I don't work in the gaming industry, so the gaming industry may be a bit different. But I mean, as far as with like the software that I work with, teams are pretty isolated. You know, they have their forte. You know, it's like, okay, these people
That's
work
kind of
on this.
That's kind of what I would gather, because you would kind of want people that know the lore from Outer Worlds 1 to kind of work on Outer Worlds 2. So, because the game, even though it was buggy, overall was decently successful. I don't know if it was $80 successful, but it was decently successful. And I enjoyed it for what it was. And when it first came out, I didn't have Game Pass at the time, I don't think it was, or whatever service that you and Q had it on, and you guys were just raving about how much fun it was. You want to cut the show early to go back and play it some more until y'all ran into issues. And so hopefully,
Well, I mean,
they've learned
the
their lesson.
biggest issues with me on the game was the game just felt incomplete. Like I felt like I played half a game, not a full game. You know?
It was short. I will give you that. And like I said before the show, the replayability just wasn't there
Yeah,
to where I actually wanted to
the
play
decisions didn't
again.
seem to really weigh as much as they implied they did. So
No, but so many other games you want to start from scratch again. So you like in New Vegas, you wanted to start all over again so you can see what Kaiser's Legion was like versus going with different factions, because usually if you go with one faction, you're going to piss off or totally obliterate the other faction. So there was a high replayability for that, but it didn't seem like there was enough to want you to replay Outer Worlds 1 over again.
yeah.
But hopefully they'll dive deeper into the factions, and you get more perks or bonuses for siding with Spacer's Choice versus going in a different route. But like you, I'm cautiously optimistic, but right now, we don't have a whole lot to go on.
Yeah.
But I do have it pre-downloaded, so I will be playing it when it comes out. But I'm not going to take a week off like I did for Grounded 2.
Well, speaking of games that we may be cautiously optimistic about, or maybe not so optimistic about, we have Borderlands 4. Randy Pitchford, man, still, can't keep his mouth shut. But I will say,
Yeah.
me and you, we had a discussion before the show on this. There was a lot of heated discussions on this online. I think a lot of stuff's being read into this. If you take it for surface value, I don't think there's really much said here. But a lot of people have dug in deeper, pulled in politics, pulled in, some past Gearbox efforts, which honestly, the past Gearbox efforts is to me more of a reason to pull on this than anything else. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I was watching, what was it, Doctor Disaster? I think that was his channel I was watching. He touched on this a little bit, and he was right in the fact that the story from Borderlands 3 was garbage, but the gameplay was actually kind of fun. But when you got to Wonderlands, the story was trash and the gameplay was miserable because they just kept breaking and nerfing everything to the point to where the game was unplayable, in my opinion, unless you bought the DLC, at which point, everyone was basically using the same build. But when you read the comments, based on what we know about the story and the Timekeeper, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, and trying to skate the line. I'm hoping that his references to, trading off autonomy for organization and how much would you give up for organization is what the people on, was it Kronos or whatever the moon that they're going to, gave up in order to, I guess, salvage their civilization. At least I'm hoping that's what he's referring to, and he's not diving into stuff over the past 5 years. But it's really hard not to read too much into it because everything's hyper political nowadays. And us as gamers, we want to play games to escape from the hyperpoliticization as opposed to being preached to. So I'm hoping, cautiously that, it is a game that is going to be a looter shooter and fun and we'd be able to go and enjoy it but it not be preached to, because the last game, Wonderlands, I had a hard time even finishing it. I mean, just the story was that miserably written. So hopefully we'll have some people that actually have some kind of creative chops and actually have an interesting story.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the reason why I probably may take it lighter than some people is because working in the software industry and having worked for mom and pop size software company to massive international, very structured software companies, I do see that difference that he mentions in this, when he talks about the Cell Gearbox and how, you see hierarchy and structure changes and stuff like that. Even the company I'm working for currently, I worked for it once before when it was a much, much smaller company that was a local company with, less than 100 employees to what it is now as a international company with, employees all over the globe. And there is a big difference of how work happens and the structure, the monitoring, it's a much different work environment. And if you're playing off of that garage band style versus versus corporate, it is a big swing, and seeing, both extremes in a Borderlands game, I don't know how that's going to work out, with their story, but I can see where you could get some inspiration from that.
Well, yeah, and and a lot of things take inspiration from politics that told in a story are done well. I think the king of that was Gene Roddenberry with a lot of the Star Trek episodes back in the '60s. A lot of it was very political, but he just hid it in a story fabric that you didn't really realize until you sat down and thought about it. Yeah. So it wasn't laying in your face. So I am kind of curious, how his experiences with, Take-Two and the acquisition with Take-Two will affect this iteration of Borderlands, because it's so easy for everyone to just immediately point at left versus right, as opposed to, okay, this is a situation where I experienced it while, we were locked down for a year, and, I had this idea pop in my head, and it'd be completely, inspired by, but also apolitical to the point to where it's a fun game. And we'll find out in less than 2 months. It's September, I think, is when it's coming out, isn't it?
Yeah, September. I think September the 9th or something, or 12th, something like that. It's early.
I think it September. Is. Yeah, because they moved the date up.
Yeah, it's early September, and then like 7 days later, we'll get the Beast. So.
Yeah, and that may be a good respite if the game is bad.
Yeah,
is we switch over to Dying Light and play that.
And like you said, I mean, yeah. Gene Roddenberry used, those types of inspiration. Hell, George Romero in his Dead series was, if you really pay attention, had a lot of underlying, inspiration from politics, and so I mean, yeah, you can pull inspiration from a lot of things, and I mean, I think. Pulling it from a shift in the company you're working for, possibly could be interesting inspiration. Also, could go horribly wrong. So.
Yeah, the thing about Borderlands though is, for the first three games, core games, I should say, either they had really well written stories, or at least the DLC was good. Including Borderlands 3. Once you got past the twins and that stupid little story, the DLC was great. And I'm hoping that they go back to their roots. What I hope they don't do is try to find some way to use the timekeeper to bring back Handsome Jack and try to rehash a storyline that just needs to be left alone.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be tragic, is to try to rehash that villain back out again, because it was such a well written story. But
yeah, I'll be honest, man. I just want a good game I can play with my friends, because I do like playing with my friends. I don't like playing with strangers. And honestly, that sort of brings us to the next topic, is the reason why I hope for Borderlands to be good, the reason why I hope for the Beast to be good, is because you play with other people and you have too much problems with cheating and hacking and all that stuff. Recent study reveals almost 50% of gamers have considered quitting due to cheaters. I will say, man, I've played several games that I thought would have been great if it wasn't because of the cheaters. I mean, dude, I liked Red Dead Redemption Online, played it with my brother. But we had to hack our own so that we could get away from the hackers. Like, we found a way that we could make it where the server wouldn't populate other people on the server. It would only populate like people who also had a certain file in their game folder. And I mean, it was fun. Now, the thing is the world was designed to have more than just 2 or 3 people on it, so it sort of left the world dead. But it was more fun than having to deal with random shit falling out of the sky and blowing you up because some hacker had gotten into the server and just started spawning explosives wherever there was a person. That
reminds me of my Fallout 76 story. Oh, that wasn't a hacker. That was just somebody being a jackass.
Yeah. But no, I mean, Fallout 76 also has had issues with I think, cheaters. And then especially once you get into your more competitive games like Battlefield and Team Fortress and, PUBG and all that, where if you get on at the wrong time, it's unplayable because of the amount of cheating.
Yeah, and that's what turned me off to 76 early on, was just being thrown into a world with randoms, and we're supposed to be in this beginner zone and they're dropping nukes. I'm like, seriously? So yeah, no, cheating in a, oh my God, are you kidding me? Will you please stop?
We got a guest contributor here.
The difference between, I think, cheating and exploits, and I agree, cheating makes the game unplayable and unfun. Gamers enjoy exploits so they can feel like they're getting a little something extra, but as long as there's not a player balance issue, I think that they're fine with it. We're talking about an exploit earlier in a game I'm playing right now. I was able to duplicate all my gear, which is great, but it's not a PvP type situation, so it's fine. But I mean, even in Gears 5, we found exploits and we used them to our advantage, but that was in PvE. But when you're talking about PvP, whether it be auto aim or maxing or increasing your damage or taking no damage at all, yeah, I mean, why would you want to play anything like that? Now, some devs get creative and they take cheaters and put them into a cheaters only server.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto Online did that. I know.
So I mean, and those types of things are fun, but Yeah, I agree. I mean, if people were cheating and I was really into PvP or
Well, dude, I
competitive
mean,
gaming, like
even in co-op games, like if you get online with somebody, and I've seen this, I saw this a couple of times in Remnant, and I'm pretty sure, it was somebody who had some kind of cheating on because, like, you're going around, you expect to have some difficulty, that's part of the game, and then the person next to you is doing one shot, kills. Everything's one shot kill, and you're like, there's no possible way to get your stats up that high legitimately to do one shot kills in nightmare mode, you know.
right.
And it
Yeah.
ruins the challenge of the game. And like I said, that's why I prefer to play with my friends, is because I know, we're all in it for the challenge. We put it on the harder difficulty, not because we have some kind of glory hound or something that we're wanting to show off we can do the highest difficulty. We do it because we enjoy a challenge when we're playing the games.
Right, and especially when you're playing by yourself, and it's you're doing pretty decent. You're not really challenged, but when you add in your second, third, or fourth person, it doubles or triples the difficulty or the they become damage sponges. Then because it becomes an issue. I can tell you how many times we played Borderlands on the True Guardian Takedown, and I would die or fall off a ledge or whatever, and Q like, oh, finally a challenge because now Scourge is going to have double the health and do double the damage because Bloodaxe is dead, but he still counts as being there. And so I agree. We do play more challenging games to challenge ourselves, but we want to challenge within the boundaries of the game programming versus someone who's artificially making those changes and making it either easier for them or harder for somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Speaking of making it harder for other people, PayPal, man. So,
wow.
PayPal has now officially ended support for some regions in Steam as part of this whole payment processing thing. Apparently, now they're saying it's not PayPal itself, but one of the banks associated with PayPal or something. But now it seems like we're seeing this. They're doubling down on a lot of this stuff, man.
This blows my mind because the sole purpose of a bank is to make money, whether it be lending and getting interest or fees or whatever. But you're literally preventing yourself from making money when doing legitimately legal transactions. It's not like it's money laundering,
because they keep talking about illegal things.
What's illegal?
But
there's nothing.
Well, I don't want to mention some of the words that they said.
No, I mean, and I know what they're saying. I think we've covered it for the past several weeks, but there's nothing illegal about having softcore or even hardcore games.
Yeah,
you have to have the credit card.
Some of it,
you're an adult, which means you can purchase these things if you want to.
Some of it, I think. I don't think it's really the process. The processors should be involved in this. I think if there's an issue with this, and I think some of it there is an issue with, and we probably should look into. But Japan's weird, man. A lot of it's targeting at Japan. Japan is getting them because Japan in anime does a lot of things that you wouldn't do in real life. And where they're not type of games that I would play, that's what they're targeting, but they're also hitting things that don't really seem like they're in that category. So I don't know. It's one of those weird issues that it's like you should probably talk to enforcers of the law if you think that they're doing something that is against the law. Not
right, because the only thing you're doing is you're going to end up creating a void for another company to come in and provide the service that you're not providing. And you're right. If there's something that's illegal or something that is, what's a good way to put it? If you're hiding legality by nefarious means, then yeah, you should get attorneys involved and the appropriate legal organizations in that country to deal with it. But other than that, what makes you a high and mighty decide what people should and shouldn't consume?
Yeah, I mean, additionally, most of this stuff is tagged. So I don't know why a payment processor like PayPal couldn't just go, all right, if it's got this tag, we won't process this type of content. Instead of completely pulling out of processing payments altogether or trying to get the content removed. It's a strong arm tactic, and I don't really care for the strong arm tactic. So, and also, I mean, there's other payment processors out there. I'd be surprised to see if somebody else doesn't just roll in to fill that gap.
Which is, if another bank would be smart to do that, and signed an agreement with Steam that, hey, I'll handle all your Japan business. And as long as it's legal there and it's on your store, we'll roll with it. I mean, it's kind of what the Mean Green has done with YouTube. They're taking on things that are blocked or shadowed on YouTube, and you can find it over there. So someone's going to step in the gap and be able to, provide that service for what people want, as long as it's, it's on the up and up, which I think Michael said it best in the chat. I mean, some of the stuff that they churn out is kind of creepy over in Japan. Yeah. Not anything I'm interested in. But hey, if that's what they want to spend their disposable income on, and as long as it's within the Japan law, why not let them do it? I'm sure there's things over here that we do that people like. Why would y'all want to do that?
Well, I mean speaking of things done over here, now, I don't know where this actually company exists. I've never actually bothered to look it up because it's not my forte. But PayPal hasn't pulled its support of Roblox, but Roblox has decided to ban a predator hunter because of the safety of the predators. I
saw this yesterday, and then Q sent it, and then I saw something else this morning, and this just continues to blow my mind. Why are you taking the 20% side of an 80-20 situation?
Yeah. So long story short, there's a YouTuber Slip who he goes on. Him and several other YouTubers and groups go on, and they find people who are being predators to children, and then they turn them into law enforcement. And apparently, Roblox said banned them because of the safety of all the people on the platform. Like, they were concerned for the safety of the predator. And yeah, that's just dumb.
As a father of 4 kids, and all 4 of which play Roblox, and having personally dealt with a situation where an adult was talking to one of my youngest kids and trying to get information, I had to step in and really start locking some things down. I would appreciate someone looking out for the kids, because not all parents get involved with what the kids are doing, and not all kids are forthcoming with the conversations that they're having. This is, again, this makes zero sense why you would not err on the side of
I
caution.
mean, I'll put it this way. Now, where I'm not a big fan of these type of YouTubers because I don't know how much they say or do is the truth. But I've seen enough to know that there is a problem. And the fact that Roblox took the stand of protecting what they know to be a problem, I think is an issue. Now, if they would have said, hey, we're going to hire professional teams to try to curb this because we don't want, this to be sensationalized or turned into content for everybody to see, but we're gonna start dealing with this problem, then I probably wouldn't have as big of an issue, because I think that there should be a structured group. I mean, we have law enforcement that should take more into this type of stuff and look more into this type of stuff. We need more. What was dude's name? Henson or whatever. Or Hanson. What was the Catch a Predator guy?
Oh, that guy. No, I was thinking. Well, in that type of stuff, along with the cheaters show, and if you're trying to do it for content, then that just shows me you're not altruistic. Versus if someone was truly worried about the kids and they weren't worried about getting clicks and views, I would have more of a bleeding heart for that person. But the other guy, he's just slightly better than the guy on Roblox. But you shouldn't do it for content, for views, because the only thing you're doing is showing how the really bad guys how to get away with it. Well, don't do this because that's how they found me, so I'm going to do something over here. And it's stuff like that just makes it harder and harder for the parents or the true detectives to be able to find these people out, because now they're knowing how people are being found out, and they're trying to circumvent those behaviors or those patterns.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's one of those things. I'm a bit torn because you are trying to make money off this, but at the same time, it brings to light the issue. There is a major issue on things like Roblox and other, and I don't.
But that's important.
I don't know what the. Now, I mean, one of the solutions that people have brought up, which Mississippi actually recently passed a bill on. Basically, they're going to start requiring some form of parental ID and consent for social type communication for kids. Now, the problem with that is kids are just going to say they're 18.
Or use a VPN.
Yeah. Because I mean, if it could be done right, then yes. I mean, you basically go, okay, well, if you're over 18, you don't need to be talking to somebody who's under 18 in these environments, unless you're on their family plan or whatever, the parental guardian. Other than that, there's no reason for adults to be talking to kids that they don't know in these environments. But what's the solution? I'm not sure what the solution is. But we got to do better, I think.
Well, I know the solution. I just can't stay on this channel because I don't want us to be monetized. But no, I've got a solution for that. And actually, some states are implementing something very close to what I have in my head.
Okay.
But
If they're implementing something, then it's not the one that I was thinking of, because I was reminded by a T-shirt that said, dead pedos don't reoffend.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I think, was it Florida that's like just had a law? I don't know if it's passed or if it was pushed out for a vote, but under a certain age, it goes right to that exact sentiment.
Yeah.
But I mean, to make it as vanilla and PC as possible is basically, if you punish those that do it, then it'll discourage others from doing it. And I think the punishments aren't really being handed out the way that I think they should.
Yeah.
That shouldn't get me in trouble.
And on that, we'll move on. Oh man. So Sony,
I kids all the time, and it deters their behavior. So and usually it's taking away Wi-Fi. You take away a couple of privileges, and that changes their behavior. But when you come to adults, you got to be a little more harsh.
Well, speaking of taking things away, Sony closes all its operations in Russia, ending PlayStation music and its film presence there.
PlayStation
has been in due to the whole Ukraine war and all that stuff. Not going to get deep into that, but apparently, if you're in Russia, you may not be able to get that next gen Sony PlayStation.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Michael has hijacked my attention. Yeah. Anyway, and I mean, do you really have to have people inside the country to, in order to be able to have like music and film on your platform? I wouldn't think so, unless there's something weird with Russian law that says you have to have like local offices or something.
I mean, you do have to have sales outlets of some form, and I think that's I don't think they're importing into Russia anymore.
Well, I mean, if that's
Sony Pictures Entertainment stopped releasing films in Russia, while Sony Music ceased operations back in September of 2022. Removing foreign catalogs from local streaming services and spinning off its Russia division into an independent label. In 2024, the company began closing its branded stores.
Why couldn't they sell it on the PlayStation Network?
So
I find that interesting.
Yeah. But apparently they're just removing their presence entirely in Russia. So.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks for gamers in Russia where now they're limiting, what they're able to consume. I would hate for, anyone to lose access to something they enjoy like that. But, I mean, Microsoft didn't they shutter their film services just recently? But you get to keep what you bought previously. But I don't think they're doing films anymore on the Microsoft Store anymore.
Can't play games, can't listen to music. Might as well go shoot people. I don't know. I mean, that's.
Don't say that. Oh, now we're going to be demonetized for this video. No, we do not encourage anyone to do that.
I'm just saying. I'm not encouraging here. I'm just saying. What I mean, here's the thing. We lived. I've lived in very. Rural areas in my life, and honestly, when you don't have a lot to do, you tend to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, usually it involves alcohol and it involves
sex, and drugs, man. That's
sometimes it's firecrackers, something a little more potent. Either that or you started going cow tipping like you do in rural Mississippi.
I never went cow tipping. Even when I lived out in the country, never went cow tipping, man. I refused to do it. Refused. I was like, I'm not going that far redneck. I can't do it.
So those of you who don't know what cow tipping is, and I'm assuming most of you don't, is cows sleep standing up. And a lot of people in their high school, college years decided it would be fun to take a running start and go basically shoulder to shoulder with a bull or a cow and try to knock it over while it's sleeping. And it's not always successful, and sometimes people get hurt, but that's what happens when you get bored and you don't have PlayStation to be able to watch your videos and play your games on. So, but no, there's a university up north that they call Cal Tip U because it's a college and nothing but pastures. So that's kind of what they do. They go cow tipping.
Oh,
wow,
right.
this show went way off the rails really fast, didn't it?
It did. Last thing we have, man, is I think Alien Earth. It premiered this week, and our boy Bloodaxe took the bullet to let us know whether or not it's worth watching. So, what you got, Blood?
Well, first of all, I'm probably the biggest Alien franchise fan in Dicejunkies. Q's right there with me.
I am wearing my face sucker shirt.
You are free hugs.
Yeah.
Although you try to give him a hug, and he will definitely hug your face with his fist. But you know, I mean, it's no secret. Aliens is my favorite film of all time. And it's one of those films that when it came out in, was it 86, that my uncle told me about, and I had to go see it and just absolutely fell in love with the movie. So I was excited that there was a series coming out, but then I realized who owned the franchise because Disney bought Fox. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's not canon, probably. So let's check it out. And before me, this is like I watched it. I was like, where's the timeline? You know, is it like modern day? Is it 20 years from now? No, it's 2 years before the first film, Alien. I'm like, that's kind of weird. You have aliens on Earth 2 years before they found the derelict ship, the LV-426. Okay, whatever. And then I looked it up. No, according to everything I'm able to find, and if someone can find something different, please leave us a comment that apparently it is canon, which is weird because there's an alien on Earth 2 years before the first film, and 57 years after the first film, that's when Ripley tells them about this, and they're like, "We don't know what you're talking about." So it either completely ruins canon, or this eight episode series really covers it up really well, so that no one finds out about the xenomorph. Neither here nor there. So the series is interesting, at least for the first two episodes. It definitely keeps you guessing. And when you watch the first episode, you'll know exactly who the onboard of the ship, which one is the synthetic. They don't pull any punches. They let you know exactly who it is. And that's work. I'll have to call you back. But some of the decisions that this one makes kind of falls in line with the first movie. But I'm still kind of wrapping my head around that one. I haven't quite figured that one out yet. But I will say that the specimens that they've acquired and were bringing back were really, really cool. There were some really creative things that we haven't seen before. I mean, we had the face huggers and we had the xenomorph, but there's some other stuff that's really interesting. And they had this one scene that, and I think it was the second episode, that me and my wife were like, "What's going on?" They were like, "Oh God!" So I mean, there's some good stuff in there, and I really like Timothy Olyphant's character because I'm still trying to. I think he's a synthetic or at least a cyborg. I haven't quite figured him out yet, but the way he portrays his character is really, really interesting. What I have a problem with is what is everyone's obsession with the synthetics? I mean, we watch Alien for the bloody alien. We don't watch it for the AI. And they're really, really leaning hard into the whole synthetic people situation. And it takes me out of the whole situation because you're trying to figure out, what's going on with this research vessel versus the alien that obviously gets loose. Spoiler alert. but it keeps bouncing to the synthetics. I'm like, no, I don't care about the synthetics. I want to see more about the alien and what's going on with this. So half of it is interesting and relatively good. The other half, I'm like, just fast forward. But it got so deep into the drama of the synthetics that my wife had to quit watching. I mean, she was just bored to death with it. So if you're an Alien fan and you're okay with the synths and you were fine with David, with Covenant and all that kind of stuff, then you'll probably enjoy it. But if you're looking for an Alien series that kind of focuses more on the Xenos, then, you're going to probably not have as much fun with it. But there are some enjoyable parts. And so I will keep watching it because I'm an Alien nut. And yes, I watched Romulus. And for the most part, Romulus was decent. The ending just made me want to claw my eyeballs out. But, for the first, 3/4, it was pretty good. But Alien Earth, either they're completely going to just shred the canon that we know today, or they're going to find some way to keep it under wraps, and there probably won't be a season 2. But there's going to be a new episode, I think, every week for the next 6 weeks. So if y'all want to keep seeing updates, let us know in the chat or the comments, and we'll bring it back up. I'm still going to watch it, but I don't expect Zeno or Q to watch it just because it's kind of boring. It really is.
All right. Well, I'm going to at least watch the first 2 episodes here coming up when I get a chance. But I don't know if I'll continue watching it if it's as you'll have to let me know if it gets more interesting,
Well, it's kind of like, what was it, WandaVision. The first 2 episodes were just kind of meh.
Yeah.
Then it got good, then it got bad. So I'm hoping that, it finds its rhythm, it gets its legs, and we have a story that I can enjoy. Otherwise, it's just going to be one of these forgettable things that, whether it be, The Acolyte and what other crappy series that are out there on Disney Plus. At least this is on Hulu. So I think FX Studios is the one that's doing this.
Hulu shuts down the thing in another week or 2, and because they've moved everything from Hulu over to Disney Plus already. So,
are they really? Oh crap!
Yeah.
So I'm trying to have chat conversations as well as live conversations. Normally I can do this without having to talk, but Q decided to leave us high and dry today.
Let's see. When does Hulu close? Let's see. The integration is expected to be completed by 2026. Somewhere I read that it was supposedly closing really soon.
Well, I know that Disney had some kind of contractual agreement to complete the rest of the acquisition of Hulu, and it was going to be expensive. Hulu is not shutting down, will be integrating Disney Plus by 2026, transitioning to a unified app experience. Well, that's great. That means I got to download Disney Plus.
So,
and I like the idea of having Hulu separate from Disney Plus because Disney wants to keep that family-friendly image, which is a farce. And you could put all of your R-rated stuff on Hulu, which is separate because you have the whole Fox library of things that you can implement over there that you wouldn't normally implement on Disney Plus.
Yeah, they just implemented. This is just a couple of years ago when they implemented where when they added their first R-rated stuff, and you could turn off basically so that you don't see anything that's R-rated. But yeah. Anyways, Hulu will be gone soon, from my understanding, and so you'll have to be watching Alien Earth with all the Disney Plus stuff.
Well, that sucks.
And with that, that's it, man. That's all we got. We'll be wrapping up. Hopefully, we'll have Q next week. Maybe not. We'll see.
Hope so.
Yeah. But, all right. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to go to Dicejunkies.com where you can find links everywhere we are online. Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever we go live or post additional content. Thanks for watching, as every week.
We hope you enjoy.